This is the first talk by J. Krishnamurthy at the Educational Conference in Rishi Valley on the 4th of December 1979.
I believe this is an educational conference from all various parts of India and also from abroad. So I hope we can meet each other and discuss clearly and to the point. I would like to ask, if I may, why we educate our children. What is the purpose of this so-called education? We send them to schools, examinations. If you are lucky or fortunate, have enough money, to colleges and universities. And at the end of 25 years or so, we have thoroughly conditioned them, conform to the pattern, and they settle down having a career, a job, a position, and feel that they are secure physically. But one questions all that, because considering what is happening in the world, the chaos, the misery, the confusion, the terrorism that's going on, what is it we are all doing? I think that's a fundamental question one must ask oneself. What is the purpose or the intention of the parents, of the educators? Is it merely to program the mind like a computer so that they have a certain career in an overpopulated world? For every job there are about 10,000 people. The constant battle of life. From the moment they are born till they die. So one asks oneself, is it possible to cultivate the whole of the mind? We cultivate or encourage merely a very small part of the mind, very small part of the brain. Which is, we give them information on various subjects so that they can have a livelihood, and the information is translated into memory, stored up, and utilized as a means of earning money, and so on. A very small part of it, very small section of this whole mind. We mean by the mind not only the senses, the emotions, the capacity to think very clearly, objectively, not personally, not be bound by opinions, judgments, evaluations, which we are, but also to cultivate the totality of the mind. Right? As it happens now, we are only cultivating, tilling, as that soil, that part of the mind or the brain which is only gathering information as knowledge, technical knowledge, and holding it and utilizing skillfully or not to earn a livelihood. That's obvious, right? And we are saying, are we only dealing with the superficial consciousness of the mind? Are we meeting each other, or am I talking to myself? Are we cultivating the superficial or conscious mind only? And that cultivation of that conscious mind is only a part, not the whole of the consciousness. What do you say? I hope I'm conveying something, am I? All right, let's approach it differently. Our consciousness is not only the superficial layers, but also deep hidden activity of the mind, which is called unconscious mind. Are we only cultivating the superficial mind, apparently which we are, and neglecting the deeper layers of the mind, which is the whole psychological field? And apparently, throughout the world, we are only concerned with the superficiality, the outer layer of consciousness. Right? I wonder, right, sirs? And neglecting the deeper, more active, and much more subtle quality of the mind, which is the deeper layers. Right? So there is a contradiction from the outer layer to the inner layer of our minds. Right? I wonder if you... Perhaps all this is somewhat new. If it is new or if it is old, bear with me and we'll discuss it. So there is always a contradiction in our life. You may be an excellent engineer or a businessman, but below that you are an ordinary human being like the rest of the world. Greedy, envious, jealous, competitive, argumentative, holding on to your own particular superstition, whether it is scientific or religious, and merely try to live on the surface. We neglect totally the responsibility of relationship. Not only in their private life, but also responsible for the whole of mankind. Right? Are we meeting each? That's one thing. And also to educate our children, to have no fear. Because we're all frightened human beings. Might lose our job and so on. Fear. And is it possible in a school of this kind to help the student to have no fear whatsoever. Because when there is fear, you cannot possibly have affection. Nor that extraordinary quality of love. Right? And to help the student to be honest, incorruptible, by money, by flattery, by various forms of destructive violence, to have integrity. And is it possible also to help the student to have a religious mind? Not the religion of superstition as all over the world, which is nonsense, which is not religion at all. To have a religious mind, which is a holistic mind. You understand the word holistic? That is to be whole, which is to be, the word good means well put together. You understand? Well put together. The mind that has been carefully, with diligence, having the capacity to perceive the whole of man and act from that. Now, can we, as educators, living in this country or abroad, bring this about? That's the whole problem. We can talk endlessly about it, what we should do, what should not do, form various theories, but can we, as educators, bring this about? Which means not only is the responsibility of the educator, but also the responsibility of the parents. Now, having said that, laying general outline, can we come to find out together, not just I find out, I tell you, and you accept or reject, but together, because all life is a relationship which is acting together. Not I act and you just listen, but together. Can we investigate, that is, find out how to bring this about in our schools? There are 5 schools in India under the KFR, and in those schools and in other schools, can we bring this about? That is, to cultivate not only that part of the brain which is concerned with memory being gathering information and experience, and from that acting, merely to live, to have a livelihood. Right? That's what we are doing. Can we cultivate the whole of the mind? That's not only the superficial, but all the psychological, inward conflicts, contradictions, unhappiness, misery, sorrow, all that. Can we help bring this about? Which means, can we help the student not to have fear of any kind? Right? Can we start from that? Not general vague terms. Can we start with the simple fact that is it possible as educators, not only as educators, we are human beings, much more than educators, as responsible people who are concerned with bringing about a new generation in a chaotic world, can we start with the problem of this fear which is so deeply rooted in the child? They are afraid of their home, right, sirs? They are beaten there, they're scolded there, they're told what to do, what not to do, and all that business that goes on in a family, which is rather terrible. And they come here with all that fear. They're already conditioned. And can we help them to free themselves from this fear and not add more fear? Now that's the first problem. Now let's go into it. That's if you all agree. If you don't, even then it doesn't matter. Let's talk about it. The problem is both the educator and the educated are both frightened of life. Right? Frightened of the, where is fear. Now, how shall we deal with this problem? The teacher, the educator is frightened, and the student coming from homes where there is no security whatsoever. Do you understand? And so, have fear. How shall we deal with this problem? You understand my question? Oh, come on, sir. I've talked 20 minutes. Can we deal with this problem? How shall I, as an educator, having my own children, and I'm dealing with other children, see that not only in communicating to them about whole problem of fear, also expose myself, my own fears, not to the children, because that would be absurd, but expose in the discussion, in talking over, to the children my fears, and so help myself as well as the student. You understand my question? You understand my question, sirs? Suppose I'm frightened. My life, my upbringing, all that has brought about a deep-rooted fear in myself. And I notice that the student is also frightened because he's beaten. You know what your family life is. And so there are two people in a fairly close relationship. How is this to be done? To see that the student is completely free of fear, of the future, of examinations, of life, you follow, of everything, not to have one spot of fear. Right, sirs? Now what will you do? So don't wait for me to answer. That's an easy way out. But together, you and the speaker, can we find out what to do? And not only theoretically, but actually do it. Come on, sis, what should we do? Is this a problem to you? Huh? Now, when you say it's a problem, what do you mean by that? Is it a problem that has to be answered? Is it a problem that you yourself have to find out? If you are hungry, you do something. If you are sexually lustful, you act. And we don't have this capacity of passion to find out. We'll talk about it. We'll say, yes, this should be done, that should not be done, and all the rest. But there is no vitality behind it. No concentrated or all energy put into this question. Now, if it is a problem and you want to resolve it, because the function of a teacher, which is the highest function in the world, the noblest, for me it is, because they are bringing about a new generation of people. And you cannot possibly bring about a new mind, a new face, a new way of action if there is any kind of fear. Because that prevents love, affection, kindliness, care. So what should we do? So in front of it's your baby. So good looking at each other. The ball is in your court.